everybody. Welcome to day 3 of the 12 Days of Page Turners, or how I like to label it, my happiest time of the year, because I have so much fun doing all of this. And, to be perfectly candid, we had a hot mess start to it because of me. I sent out the wrong link and we partied in another room for a little bit, to be honest. So it's been a fun ride. But you guys, we have some amazing authors for you tonight, with some awesome holiday promotions, awesome personalities, and an awesome writer and book promoting coming on. So you guys, without further ado, I am going to bring on stage Miss Joanna to come and talk to you guys. So, hey Joanna, how are you?
I've been baking gingerbread cookies, cardamom gingerbread cookies.
Oh my goodness, are you decorating them too?
Yeah, I'm putting an orange glaze on it, and I just want to eat them all.
Oh, now I love that. I love that. So, Joanna, tell us a little bit about what genre you write in and how long you've been a writer.
Okay. I wrote as a kid. I used to hate reading, and I got hooked on a certain series as a child, and that was a game changer for me. And then I really started to like reading, and then I wanted to write my own stories. So the genre I write in is the thriller genre. I used to work in the prosecutor's office, so it just seemed kind of, a good fit. And in my second thriller novel, I actually bring in a ghost, which is my heroine's mother, who's a ghost, who's helping my heroine figure out why her father was killed.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. We went from gingerbread cookies to that. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I absolutely love that. So you said, you've been writing since you were a child. So writing's pretty much been a part of you, which
Yes.
I love. I love to hear that. It has not always been a part of me. I'm not a writer by any means. I live through you guys. I'm not creative with words. I'm much more creative in facial expressions. I can nail those. I can do those. But Matt, what made you want to write your books in that genre? Is it just a genre that you love, or did you find it easy to write in that genre? Or tell me a little bit about it.
Well, I tried writing a romance for Harlequin Romance, and they told me my novels were far too dark. So I thought, the writing's on the wall. I work in a legal office. I used to read, I think I've read just about every Dick Francis novel. And I thought, why am I trying to write a romance if everything I read is thriller and action? So that's how I got into writing the thriller novels. Yeah.
I love that. That's my genre. The more action it has in it. I mean, if you want to throw in, some psychological thriller and some jacked up people messing with, I'm there for it. I mean, I won't complain at all by any means.
I've got a possessed typewriter. What can I say?
Okay, I'm here. I'm here for it. So I know that you also like to draw. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
So
Yes,
tell
I
us
do.
a little bit about that.
Well, when I started rewriting, like I wrote the first book, The Unraveling, in 1999, and then stuff just happened in life, okay? And I didn't get back to it until 4 months after my mom passed, so in 2018. And at that time, I was illustrating because I used to create art as a kid. So I have here, I don't know if it's going to show, but part of my promotion is my art cards. So I love drawing and illustrating. I use markers. I'm trying to change. Okay, there we go. Women on bikes. Realistic women, like real women. Okay.
Like real women, ladies. Oh my gosh. Okay.
So,
I'm here for it.
Yeah. So, and this actually was my inspiration for Jade. God, you'd think I'd been drinking. How's that? Okay.
So, it's after 5. No one's going to judge you on this show. I won't judge you. I'll cheers you with anything else.
So I thought, you illustrate women riding bikes. Why not have your heroine Jade and her sister, which actually I heard is someone named Sage? Maybe not. But her sister's name is Sage, and they both ride bikes, and it's so cool, right? For me, I write for myself. If I can't thrill myself, then I know I've got a lot of work to do. And I hope that by giving myself a thrill ride, I can give readers a thrill ride.
I love that you write for you. I
Yeah.
think that is, to be honest, I believe that's the first time that I've heard that. Like, I've heard a bunch of different inspirations, right? Like, oh, story came to me from a dream and it's been inside me and I need to get it out. It's screaming to come out. I've heard,
Uh-huh.
all of those. But I've never heard someone say that they write for themselves. Ever.
First. Yeah, first.
I
Yeah.
always hear, it's for the genre that they love to read, they write for that, but never for themselves. So I truly love that. I think that is amazing that you
Well,
write for yourself.
well, you write for yourself first, and then after it's like, okay, now I need to publish this. So now I've got to think about the reader. And so,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, that process. So talking about your writing and you write for yourself and everything like that, what is your writing style? Are you a free spirit like I probably would be because outlines stress me out, or do you like outlines? Are you a
Okay.
plotter? What's your avenue?
Well, I'm what they call a pantser. Okay.
Okay.
And I've been working on, I call it the honeymoon porridge draft, the first draft, because I'm just typing away and it's got lumps in it. And I got to a point where it's like, okay, I've got stuff going on. Okay. So
Mhm.
I think all of my fellow authors are going to laugh, but this is my plot. It's all handwritten. Okay.
That's cool. Okay, so you
Right?
like longhand it. So then do you type up your whole story and you just longhand your plot? Or do you
I
do the
just
whole thing longhand?
Oh, no, I type up the
Okay.
story, yeah,
Okay.
and then, but this at some point, with and my fellow authors are all going to agree, arrows help, right? You know, right? At some point, it's like, okay, I have to put it down on paper,
Mhm.
so I'm not thinking about it, and then maybe I can think about other stuff for the book, right? And as I find sometimes with handwriting down scenes, then another scene will come to me, right? So just like I say, my fellow authors, I'm sure they're all thinking, uh-huh, yep.
Everyone's like, "Yep,
Yeah.
she gets it. She gets it."
Yeah.
That is so cool. So going back to your drawings for a minute, because I had this question and then we were talking about your writing, and I had to
Yeah.
go down that rabbit hole. I had to. Do you ride motorcycles or bikes yourself, or is it just something you've always wanted to do so you live through your illustrations like I do authors?
I live through my illustrations. I
Okay.
I have thought about learning. I got the manual to learn how to ride a bike. And I have a daughter who's a nurse who has said to me, Mother, don't get on a bike. Okay. And she goes, I have seen what's come through emergency. And so
I
I've
get
ridden a
it.
side. Okay. So, like this one, I've ridden a side. Whoop. Everything's backwards. I've ridden a sidecar, right? I have
Okay.
with my dog, which was really cool. He had little goggles on. And I've ridden on the back of a bike. And
Okay.
that's where that love came from, because I thought this is like being at the fair, right? Just holding on to
Yeah.
the rider in front of me, and yeah.
I get it. My husband has a motorcycle and he was determined to get me on it. And it was one of those that I was just like, fine, I'll ride it. Never again. It's just, it's not my thing, but he loves the whole like auxiliary rush and all of that. And I guess it's like the wind in his hair kind of thing, but he has a helmet on. It makes no sense to me, but I get it. It's one of those. So I love it. And your illustrations are so beautiful. I mean, I thought that was a photo. I never
Oh,
would have
thank you.
guessed that it was an illustration. And so you are incredibly talented, hands down.
It keeps me out of trouble.
Yeah, I get it. Trouble is like my middle name, so I understand. We need to hang out together. Okay, we could cause a lot of trouble for sure. But tell us a little bit about the holiday promotion and special that you're offering this holiday season.
Okay, so these earphones, I have to get new ones. Maybe I will over the holidays. So my holiday promotion is, and I have my books here. Okay, I have two right now. The third is at the editor's. So I have The Unraveling, which is book one. Okay,
Okay,
and that features my heroine, who's a lawyer and sometimes prosecutor, and that's The Unraveling and Dealer's Child. Okay, so with each book, which the Canadian price is $18, and I believe because the US has a much better dollar, it's $13 American. So with each book, I will be providing with my promotion, three of the art cards to go with the book,
I
right?
love it.
So that's my promotion. Yeah.
I love it. So, how can people take advantage of your promotion? Is it through your website? Do they need to email you? How can they take
You know,
advantage of it?
email would be probably easiest,
Okay.
and that would be Joanna, Joanna, at JC for Cindy, V for Victor, jcvartstudio.net. Yeah. And if they're on there and they like podcasts, I had the pleasure of interviewing DC Gomez on my podcast. So they could also check out, podcasts of different authors I've interviewed. So that really is the easiest way. And if they could say, mention this promotion, that would be great.
Nice. And it's JCV Studio. Is that correct?
JCV Art Studio.
Okay.
Yeah. I could even
Nice. Typing as I go. Typing
I
as I
could
go. I wanted to make sure it was right.
I'm also putting it
Ah.
in the chat here. I don't know if people can see that. That helps.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I got it.
So, oh God, sorry, folks. There you go. Can you tell I'm a Canadian? Sorry. Should be Joanna at jcvartstudio.
I got you. I took care of you. I knew what
There
you
we
were
go.
saying.
This
I
is
knew
my
what you were
first.
I knew what you were saying. Well, Joanna, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to come and hang with my crazy self for this 12 days of page turners. And oh my gosh, your illustrations are beautiful. That in and of itself is worth it. So thank you so much for offering a holiday promotion this year.
Well, I want to hear about all the other authors too.
Oh, I'm telling you, tonight is a great lineup. So coming down next, you guys, is Bridget L. Collins. So, Bridget, hey, how are you?
I'm finding you all. How are you this after this evening, Amy
Oh, well,
and
I'm
crew?
holding it together. I'm holding it together, but I am doing good. So, tell us a little
Wonderful.
bit about what genre you write in and how long you've been writing.
So my genre is self-help. I self-published my first book in 2007, and the name of that book was Imagine Living Healthier, Mind, Body, and Soul. And so that kind of was the catalyst for me writing, four additional books, which the latest book is Yes, I Am Fed Up. Now what? Four self-driven steps to move your well-being and work forward. So all of my books are targeted to help people understand some aspect of their life that they may want to make some changes in. Those earlier books, I was a health fitness coach, run coach, and as I looked and I saw, some of the common struggles that my clients were having with living healthier, I wanted to write a book that would hopefully provide them with some sort of a guide in terms of, or even in some options in terms of how they could discover ways to make healthier lifestyle choices, depending on what their personal situations are. And I would find that a lot of times people would allow things in their lives to prevent them from making the sort of changes that they needed to make to be healthier individuals. And so this latest book is pretty much a continuation of that. As you see, a lot of folks that are seemingly not happy with some aspect of their lives, they're fed up. And the problem is when they find themselves stuck right there on fed up, and they don't see their way clear in terms of how to move themselves out of this fed up state of being.
I get that. I have been fed up with myself, and I'm just like, damn it, I need to move. We need to figure something out. So I totally understand that. So what made you decide to write this in a book and to publish it? That's like a big milestone in of itself. You've written this book and you've published it and you've put it out to the world and everything. So what was the inspiration behind you doing that?
So really, my background is in human resources, and coupled with, like I say, being a fitness coach in my earlier years. And I've always uh, found myself in a room with individuals who are fed up with some aspect of their lives. And even if you just look at the news and, some of the things that are going on in the world and some of the actions that people take, it lets you know that they're unhappy, and as a result they can't live the life that, for me, that God has orchestrated for them until they can find their way out of this fed up state of being. So I created 4 steps. I say, well, there's some things that have to take place in order for you to move out of this fed up state of being. First, you need to do some self-analysis, understand the why. You've got to then move forward with transforming certain aspects of your life, and all of that's in an effort so now you can evolve and narrate the life that you ultimately want to live and have as a representative of your legacy. Because a lot of times people don't think of their lives in terms of legacy, and we should all be thinking about what is it that we want to leave behind when we're no longer on earth.
Right.
Well, I can't even get there if I'm stuck in this fed up state of being. I can't be that all that I'm supposed to be: a better spouse, a better partner, a better parent, a better neighbor, a better co-worker, a better supervisor, a better director. I can't be any of that if I'm stuck here on fed up. So we talk about move. What does move mean? Well, first we've got to master some things. We've got to omit some things. We've got to visualize some things so that now we can execute and move outside of this fed up state of being.
See,
So the book is really fashioned to where it's just conversational. We're on a road trip, and on this road trip, we stop along the way at some rest stops, and we talk about those things in our lives that we're not happy with, that we're fed up with. Could be something in our home lives, could be our finances, could be the co-worker or the boss, could be something from our past. Whatever that is preventing us, that person, from being all that they can be, to be the best version of themselves.
See, I think that's important. Like I'm huge in mindset, right? And the power of that and how,
Mhm.
having a positive mindset when you wake up and appreciating things really sets the tone for your day. Reading, I'm big into reading books like yours at the beginning of the year to set the tone for my year. Those things are really important to me. And I think it's, everybody encounters those where they're just like fed up and they're just like, I need to figure out how to get out. And I think that is an amazing thing that you have that written down and that you published it, because it is something that every single person is going to encounter that multiple times throughout their life, right?
Exactly.
And every season of life that we have, you're going to encounter that. And it's good to equip yourself with the tools to help you get out of that state. And so that's amazing. So tell me a little bit about your writing style, because I'm sure I feel like you like outlines, because I feel like that book has to be outlined. Or are you, a pantser and you write by the seat of your pants? If so, hey, hands down, because that's cool. I like it.
And so it was funny as Joanna was showing us her handwritten document there, and so I am a very structured person, but as we go through life, I just thought about I've got pieces of paper. Every time something happens and I think I might want to incorporate it into a book, as a piece of the storyline. So it's just like I just got little pieces of paper with information on things that might end up in that book as I'm going along my day. It's like if I'm in the car and I see some action at the grocery store, it's like I'm getting back, and so I can jot. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, because that was crazy. I need to, because it's reality. And so when you're writing, you want to make sure that what you're writing is reality that the reader can relate to. It's like, well, yeah, it might not have been me, but I saw that craziness at the grocery store and how that person yelled at that person, and it wasn't even that serious. Well, now we understand that person may be fed up with some aspect of their life, and that's just how how it admits itself in an unfavorable way. And so that's what we want to do in the book, is try to help people to understand, let's scale back, let's understand the why. Let's start out by doing some self-analysis, and after each chapter there's a exercise that the reader will participate in to help reinforce what that learning hopefully should be after they finish the chapter. And now it's a be associated with that chapter, and now it's like they're trying to be whatever that be is.
I love it, because it's like you read it and then you have to implement it, and you have to like analyze yourself, and you have to kind of write those things down. I do so great with books like that. Like, yes, Bridget, thank you, because I do great with books like that. Because you can read motivational books and everything, and you're so inspired at that moment, but then you're just like, oh, okay, and you implement it for a little bit, but then it starts to kind of wear out of your mind, and you're just like, wait, what am I supposed to do? Where when you read it and then you implement it and you write it, you really learn it. I'm a huge advocate for that. So I love that. And your cover is perfect for your genre. Not that I've been doing this a long time by any means, but it is perfect. I would totally pick that book up. And I know, like I said, everyone can definitely relate to that, because we're all eventually in that season of life where you're fed up and you transition, right? Like that's when one season's coming to an end and another one's beginning, right? That's when you're in that spot, is at least for me. And Bridget, hey, why'd you gotta say about me being at the grocery store yelling at someone? Don't tell about my stuff. No, mostly be yelling at my kid, but I am one of those people, so I relate to that story. I relate to that story 100%, Bridget. But tell us a little bit, or exactly what your holiday special is this holiday season.
So the book has its own website, yesiamfedup.com. And if they purchase a book via the website, they will get an autographed copy that's 50% off of the holiday. And so in addition to that, because like I say, the goal for me with all of the books are always to try to help people be the best version of themselves. And if we really honestly think about it, it really is for the rest of our lives, because it's kind of like I'm constantly trying to be this best version of myself. It doesn't come automatic. You have to put work into it, because it is only in a second that somebody can send you a different direction than where you want to go if you're not conscious. And so a part of the promotion is if someone purchased the book and they're going through the exercise and it's like, you know what, I wonder what was her, I'm thinking about this and what my options could look like. Don't want to provide anybody with any advice, not a psychologist or anything like that, but just to say, you know what, that's the intent behind the book. It's not a one size fit all for any of us. And so let's chat about what some things in this respective area could look like for you, and just to kind of help that person provoke this thought to expand their consciousness on whatever that is might be. So they get a chat session with me, and so when they go to the website, there's a link that says got a question. And so really all they would just need to do is just click on that link, fill out the information, and I'll contact them within 2 business days to set up a chat session. Let's just talk about it, because the whole premise behind the book is we're on a road journey and we're stopping along the way at these rest stops, talking about things in our lives, people in our lives that we're fed up with.
Yes, 100%. And I love that. So thank you so much for your holiday offer. People would be crazy not to take advantage of it. Because when you're reading something, you wish that you could talk to the author and been like, well, hey, this is what's going on in my life. Can you tell me your opinion? Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of those. Like if I read an inspirational book and I'm like, well, that's great. How can I apply it? Like it's really important for me, and having that right headspace going into it and getting questions when I need it. So I think that is an amazing offer. So thank you so much for offering that this holiday season. So what's next for you? Are you writing more books? What can we expect to see from you?
So in the book, it talks about once you settle these things in your mind and now you're at this happier place in your life, now it's about exploring the things that you've been delayed in because of your fed up state of being. So not that really applies to me, but one of my passions now is being an actor. So that's what I'm exploring, is getting more acting gigs. And so I don't know that another book is coming out anytime soon, Amy.
Brilliant. Oh, now you have me. I'm intrigued. What kind of acting have you done? Are you doing like on camera? Are you doing voiceovers? Let me in.
I've got one voiceover that I've done. That particular piece is at the different film festivals now, but really it's been a wide range of things. Like earlier today, everybody was talking about things that they had to do earlier today. So I was on set here in the Houston area at an office building. So this was what they call an industrial video. It's a training video for whoever this company is. And so it was just a lot of fun. So there are so many avenues that one can take in terms of acting. And so that's one that, whether it's, I've done some commercials and like I say, these training videos. Next year, I cast as a mother in a feature film.
Wow.
So it's kind of like, and so that's the message that I try to share with everybody. Once you move yourself, you free your thinking. It's like the weight is gone. And so now those things, I'm a runner. So I run like half marathon and marathon events. Well, I meet a lot of people who say, you know what, I wish I could do that. Well, you really can. You just got to get out and put one foot in front of the other, register for you an event, start off with a 5K, 3.1 miles. It really isn't like, unless you have some, and even people with disabilities are out there. We've got some amputees that are running half marathons and full marathons, blind people with their guide that are running these events. So even if, so it's kind of like, helping people to understand, do what it is that you want to do. Make this a part of your legacy.
Right. No, I knew it. I was totally thinking, man, that sounds cool, but that's outdoorsy. And that's not me. I'm not that's not me. I go hunt, or not hunting, but I go camping every once in a while with my husband. That's about as outdoorsy as I get. And I'm craving an RV at that point. Okay. Like, but I think it's amazing. And I think your book is very important because we all encounter that time period in our life at least multiple times. So thank you
Mm.
so much. And thank you for coming and hanging out with my crazy self today. It's been so much fun. You guys are so amazing. So coming up next is going to be Miss DC Gomez. Hey girl,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you, darling?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. Hey, I fixed my lamp, you guys. My lamp's working. I won that battle of my
I'm
lamp. I
so
know
glad.
everybody was everybody was excited. So, DC, tell me a little bit about what genre you write in and how long you've been writing.
So I'm the little kid that can't make up her mind. So I write in multiple genres. I do everything from urban fantasy to children to even devotional. So I play in everything that really sparks my curiosity. It's great as the writer. Might not be the best thing for the marketing department since they tend to be all of my dear friends like, what were you thinking and how are you going to market this? It's going to come together. I'm going to take a page out of Miss Bridget. I'm just going to let the universe put it together and like just like, come to me because right now I'm like, I need a much better plan. So I have been writing, I want to say for over 20 years. I have been publishing for over 5 now. So the transition between creating and actually deciding to take that leap of faith and putting it out there was kind of a challenge. It took a long time. It took overcoming a lot of those fears and a lot of those demons to say, you know what? I'm officially out of excuses. So what are we going to do now? So this is where we're at.
So you were officially fed up and you decided to move
Oh my God.
forward?
I
Yes.
was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I think that's the kind of my brother's excuse. Sick and tired of being sick and tired. I hit that point. So Miss Bridget, you could have quoted me in your book. I was there the whole entire time.
I love it. I love it. So you've been writing for over 20 years, and then 6 years ago, you decided to take that leap of faith and publish. And so, what was that journey like for you? Because I know the publishing journey is different for every book, but what was it like for your first time and your experience with it?
So let's be honest. I feel like the Matrix, I think to some extent, ignorance is bliss. Because if I would have known back then all the things I know now, I would have thought it twice. I'm like, that might not be the best plan in world domination. Nobody tells you how much work it is. Nobody actually explains to you, like, oh, by the way, you're going to do this. So when you're starting out, wrote a book, love the story. It was fun. Once you get out of your way, I think that's the catch. Like Miss Bridget said, we have to get out of our own way to give ourselves permission to take this leap. It's like, okay, I'm going to write this book. And somehow, like every single writer is like, hey, I'm going to write this book, and somehow it's just going to make magic. Like somehow Amazon's going to love me. This algorithm that I didn't know there was an algorithm. Not sure why, because we shop like readers, and then we want to write like complete strangers. Completely had no clue that, hey, this is supposed to magically, I don't know how it's supposed to do. So the little writer introvert in me thought that magically I was going to hit the button, the thing was going to go on, and people are going to find me, and we're going to make millions, and ta-da!
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, didn't happen. Didn't happen. Sorry to inform everybody. That just did not happen that well.
But you kept writing. I mean, you've been publishing books for 6 years, right?
Well,
So you kept writing.
either we're a little masochists or we just enjoy the journey. We haven't figured out which one is. Most authors, not sure. We're a little bit, I think Stephen King says it very well. We're a bunch of gamblers. You know what I mean? We're deep down want to take a gamble between us and faith and figure out which one's going to win. Unfortunately, you and your lamp, you beat the lamp. Us, it's just going to be a little longer struggle.
I did beat the lamp. I mean, it's a challenge, you guys. It was a
like
challenge, but I've won it. I did beat it.
It is that kind of journey. I can honestly say that, truthfully speaking, when people ask me why I write, I can tell you there is a hole in my soul when I'm not writing. There's that piece of me that actually is missing. I am a lot happier. I'm a lot more content. I'm a lot more full. So a lot of my people honestly have said, this is the happiest we've seen you. It has come with ups and downs. It comes with some of those things that you're going, ooh, nobody wants to get a negative review. Nobody wants to get a negative comment. Nobody wants to get those questions. You're going, that was kind of personal. Nobody wants to know that their kid is ugly. Like nobody wants to hear that.
Right.
But at the same time, has been probably the most rewarding. I never imagined that going on events was going to be amazing. I never imagined connecting with readers. I think the first time the idea that I was a writer became real was when I was talking to somebody about my books. And, we all readers, we all have discussions about our favorite books. When it changes and you realize, oh my God, we're talking about my book. And it's the same passion, it's the same idea that I have with my favorite writers. You go like, this is real. Like, this has actually happened. It's one of those humbling ideas that you realize, I am so blessed. And okay, It all makes sense. This entire journey of ups and downs makes sense.
See, that right there, DC, is why I work with authors. It's why I work with indie and small press authors, is because of that feeling right there. I think that is the world, how that
It's
makes me feel.
it's one of those things every day, and it doesn't get old. So I published my latest book this month, and it's going to be book 19. You know what I mean? And it still feels like I'm a little kid. I'm like, oh my God, I have a book. And literally, I get to the same point. You're like, like all
Right?
these expressions, all these like, and it's completely there's roller coasters. And at the end of the day, it's, oh my God, I hope people like it. I hope that, what are they going to think? Are you going to like it? And you seriously, I am the keeper of these characters. Are not technically mine. They're the readers. I'm here to help them take them on a journey, and hopefully I don't kill them off and you don't hate me. But it
Right.
is still that feeling. It's still that power. It's still that thing in your soul that you're going, here's a piece of me. Please be gentle.
Right. So you mentioned that you just released your 19th book. So tell us a
I
little
know.
bit about that book.
So I am playing a lot because I think deep down, one of my favorite things is officially urban fantasy. So I have book 2 in the Orders of Assassins series. We're bringing Eric, which is actually part of the giveaway. So Eric is part of the Intern Diary series. He has his own spin-off. The Intern Diary series wrapped up in 2020. So Eric has his own spin-off. So my crazy assassin who doesn't want to be an assassin is going home. So I'm going to tell you a story because I figured this would tie out how much I'm a little spastic. So you talk about being all over the place. A few years ago, I told my mother. So if you make promises to your parents, they're going to hold you to it. So be careful. I told my mother, see, Alicia goes, I understand that I was going to write a book based in Salem because I'm originally from Salem, right? I say a lot of things all the time. I tell my mom I love her all the time. I figured this would fall in the category of I love you. No, it didn't. So she comes back, like, so about that book. I was like, what book? What book are we talking about? Like, I write all the time. What books is this? Like, you said you were going to have a book in Salem. I was like, oh, that book. So, because I honestly committed to doing this book about 4 years ago when I started writing.
Wow.
Why is my mom holding me to it?
Hey, us mothers don't forget anything, okay? You can tell us something in 20 years, we're going to bring it up. They don't forget anything.
Yeah, that's pretty much true. It's quoted by, if you guys have moms, I love you all. As who don't have any kids, I don't know how you do it, but yes. So my mom says, "Where's my book?" So guess what? So by the way, she sent me, and I was like, "Where's my book?" I was like, "Came out already. Thank you. I love you. I'm sending you a print when it comes out." So this is all for my mother because to this day, she wants a book that takes place in Salem. And last summer, we did lots of research. I went with my mother, drag around Salem, walk for about 5 hours taking pictures because if I'm going down in hell, she's coming with me. So she took pictures with me. It was amazing. Lots of bonding. She was tired.
I love it. I love it. And I love your passion for writing and the stories and genres that you write in because it comes across. I mean, it just comes across. I love it. Like your energy from it and just like, yes, I love to write. There's a hole in my soul and here's what I like to write. And we're going to go take photos for 5 hours. And doesn't everybody do that? You know, like, yeah,
For
yeah.
sure.
I love it. Like I'm here for it. And I absolutely love it. Like your passion is just gleaming. And that's why I love working with authors. And that's why the 12 Days of Page Turners is literally for me the happiest and greatest time of the year because I get to hear you guys and all of your stories and your inspiration that goes into your books, right? And I get to know you guys deeper than just an author of the book, but as a person, like, you know, DC going to Salem taking photos for 5 hours, like, oh my gosh, you know, but the research and stuff that goes into it. And it's the highlight of my year. This is why I love this. So DC, tell us a little bit about your holiday promotion that you're offering this holiday season.
So first, before I go, Amy, if we don't tell you this enough, how much we love you, thank you, sweetie, because this is huge. It takes a lot of coordination to put in all these authors. You have over 60 authors coming through the whole 12 days. So everybody, if you don't understand, we're very emotional children. We're kind of needy. Like Amy puts up, like she loves us a lot because after a while we'll be like, Listen,
Hey, I
kids.
didn't say that. That I did not say I love you all. I love you all.
We're needy. We're authors and artists. So, but because we were going to do this, I really wanted to do something special and I couldn't figure it out. I was like, hey, let's kick off the holiday season. So I decided to do an ebook special. So if you like urban fantasy, so here's a disclaimer because I come with warning labels. Urban fantasy that is humorous with quirky characters and an attitude. It's all into that. You have to have the whole combination. If you don't like this, if you don't like magic, don't pick these books up. They don't get any better. It's just progressively more magic. So just giving you the disclaimer. So I decided to do book one, which is Death's Intern. You're going to get Plague. And also I decided to do War. They're all each 99 cents on ebooks on Amazon. So you can get it for the next week. So I decided, hey, kick off your holidays with a bam, pick up, get some nice, binging of nice urban fantasy and actually have a blast. So you can start with, and if you're in Texas, the series takes place in Texas. It is based on the four horsemen of the apocalypse. So if you like,
Ooh.
I have a talking cat. So Constantine is 5 year old talking cat. Book one is going to give you some rogue witches, typical, trying to take over the world. Book two, I have some zombies going on in Texarkana. So if you live in the area, be prepared. You
Ooh.
might be, attacked or kidnapped or shot, whatever happens. And book three, I decided I was going to do a tad bit of a romance. By the way, I don't write romance, so let me just give you the disclaimer. So when I say DC wrote a romance, put some question marks because you're gonna be like, oh, this could be bad. So I have it. I listen. Last date Isis went into, he ended up being a zombie. So I don't write romance. It's not gonna be good for you. So at least it just gives me this look. So book three is gonna be a star-crossed between a vampire and an elf, and she happens to go missing. So hey, it's gonna be a blast.
I
And
love it.
I can just giggle all night. So I hope you realize this. So yes, so check it
No,
out. It's
love it.
99 cents each book for till next Friday. Something special
Ooh.
just for you, Amy.
Nice. I feel so honored. I love it. So you guys make sure you go and take advantage of it. But DC, it's always so much fun to come and talk with you. And thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to come hang with my crazy self. Like it's
Oh,
just I've
it's a
labeled
blast.
myself that and I'm gonna own it. So that's how we're rolling.
Love it.
Oh my goodness. You guys, coming up next is Alexia. I hope I pronounced that right. I have been practicing it and I'm just like, I hope I nail that.
Yes, ma'am. You nailed it 100%.
Oh, good. I have been looking forward to talking with you. I know we were emailing and everything, and I was like, you know what? I can't wait to just talk with you because you are just a fun person. And so thank you so much for hanging out and, diving in with my crazy self. You really got 100% ate me. So welcome to your first meeting of me. How are you?
I'm humbled, very humbled by the opportunity. Thank you, Amy. Thank you so much.
Oh, of course, anytime. So tell us what genre you write in and how long you've been writing.
Well, as Bridget says, self-help, I like to say encouragement because my books is always encouraging somebody with something. My actually I didn't think I could be writing books, to be honest with you. I started writing poems in 2014, and I didn't think it would be a launching pad to my writing career. And around close to about 2018, 2017, I wrote my first manuscript for my first book. And then about 2 years later, I'm writing the second manuscript for my second book. So it's been like a blossoming of my journey as an author.
I love that story.
Thank you, ma'am.
That is awesome. I love how you labeled it encouraging or encouragement
Yes,
because
ma'am.
it's definitely that is so fitting.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I love that. So tell me a little bit about your books.
Well, my first book is called, oh my God, it actually, how like you watch something and kind of flips? It don't flip. It's a blessing. Father Gave Me the Heart is just really about encouraging people to do things from the heart. And it's not just for believers, it's for anybody who wants to do things from the heart, like wholeheartedly from the heart, because sometimes even me have done things just to get people off my back or just out of obligation, but don't really mean it. And so I share stories of why I put the prayers in there and even my own personal experiences because I know for me, there's sometimes I didn't do things wholeheartedly. And so there are times I just say, Father, give me the heart because sometimes I don't be doing some things from the heart at all. So that's
Yeah.
my first book. That's my first book. Definitely different multiple subjects, whether forgiveness, humility, living life as an individual. It's like multiple subjects. So that's my first book. And my second book is You're Not the Only One Who's Been Hurt by Abuse is Overcome. And it's to encourage people that they're not the only ones who've been through some things because I know, especially during holiday season, it can be very rough. And I share stories I've been through, such as bullying, sexual abuse, relations with my parents, and even the wrong relationships with boys and men. So those who have teenagers, please get, especially teenage daughters, read that chapter to the teenage girls about wrong boys and men. It will save them in the long run. But I will say the second book was kind of I had to really push and fight through it because I was really telling me, and some part I didn't want to touch because I knew I had to go back and revisit some things. And so it's like, okay, Lex, you got to go through, you got to come, you got to fight through it, got to write through it, and I did writing it out before typing it.
Oh, okay.
And so, but I will say one hardest chapter was with relations with boys and men because it was a lot of them. So I had to kind of trim the herd. And once I got past that, I was able to finish the rest of the book. But I will tell you this, it's been worth it. And it was kind of like more of a birthing of who I really am and how much I have overcome throughout the years.
I love that. Not the experiences that you had to go through, and that
Mhm.
seems like it was more therapeutic for you to write your second book because you really had to kind of face
Yes.
those situations again and overcome them kind of
Yes,
all
ma'am.
over again, but
Yes.
for the long run. And I
Yes, ma'am.
know that writing can be so therapeutic. And so I
Yes, ma'am.
applaud you for having the courage to write it and to publish it and
Yes,
for
ma'am.
overcoming those hurdles again because that is incredibly difficult and I understand that 100%. So just thank you for having the courage to do that because that is a big deal.
You're welcome because I know encouragement I'm learning is not just for me, but it's for anybody. And even we could have on the outside may look like we got it all together, but somewhere in us, we all need some courage. So that's my main objective. Whatever I do is always be an encourager.
See, I love that because I feel like that's my role on life or in earth here, whatever
Mm-hmm.
we're on, right? That's my role here is,
Mm-hmm.
encouraging and everything like that. And I know how daunting sometimes that can be.
Yes,
And so
ma'am.
that takes me back to your first book, with doing things from the heart because
Mm-hmm.
every single one of us on here, you don't have to raise your hand. And if you're listening, we're not going to know if you raise your hand. Okay. I promise. But we've all done things that
Mm-hmm.
we didn't really want to do, right? Like our heart wasn't in it. And so,
Mm-hmm.
when you do things like that, it doesn't come out as good as if your
Mm-hmm.
heart was in it to do. We've
Yes,
all
ma'am.
done that. We will all do that again at some point. But I think
Mm-hmm.
it is really important to be intentional about your things and to do things from the heart. And
Mm-hmm.
so, did you do a different writing style for each book or was it the same for both?
It was different. Only thing is that with the first book, it was like about 9 sections and involved a lot of scriptures
Mhm.
to each verse that I put, and it's the reason why I put them. With the second book, is just really just my story, and the outlining definitely. I ain't gonna lie, especially those who got college degrees, writing out the rough draft does help out in the long run. But once I typed it up, it was not bad. I was just kind of shocked when I kind of read my first book. I was like, wait a minute, how did I miss this? How did I miss that?
Yeah.
But I learned that when a reader sees a book they like, they're not gonna care how it looks. because they don't stand the attention of the writer's heart.
Yeah. No, that's exactly true. Like us readers, if you have, like commas, I am not a grammar Nazi by any means. You guys have read my emails. You know this. Okay. It's my greatest weakness. You guys know this. But all of those things readers can overlook for the story, right? And I am a reader and I can totally attest to this. This is a true thing. And I think it comes across the passion and the rawness that the writer puts into it in their story and the words and the way that the words flow and the words that they use and everything. It's become so beautiful. And you can tell, like, you feel like you're sitting in the room with the person that wrote it. And I think those books are my favorite. I am a huge, I love psychological thrillers and like gory books. I don't know why you don't want to be in my mind. Okay. I really am a nice person, but I am like a sucker for a raw emotional story of someone's journey because I like to feel like I'm there with that person. And it really resonates because we all go through things and you never know what your book could help someone that's going through the same thing. Just as therapeutic as it was for you writing it, it could be very therapeutic for someone to read it. So that's why it is just hands down, I applaud you for writing your books because they are very much needed. They are things that aren't very much spoken about.
Yes, ma'am.
And it can help, even if it just helps one person at a time, it can make a difference in someone's life. And the fact that it was so therapeutic for you to write them, I am just like in awe because I don't know if I would have the courage to write them. I'm telling you.
I was giving birth to a baby. That feels like
that's what most people say. Every time they have a book, it's like birthing a child. And I'm like, well, without the pain. I guess depending on the book, right? Some books involve pain. So I understand that. But that's incredible. So what is next for you? Are you going to continue writing?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Well, actually just published my third book, and it's Father Give a Heart book of volume 2 to it. So Father Give a Heart volume 2 is more refined, but add another prayer to it because there are some more things I wanted to add to help people. And one thing I added was helping singles, because I know singles, especially in the holiday season, it can be challenging at times, and especially when there's pressure about why you're not married yet, and that's the last thing we need to hear right now. So definitely help out for the singles. Still do podcasting, Eagle Encouragement. Also part of I did part 2 anthologies. Will be following another anthology next year. I just been having just a ball actually, and I didn't think writing would be one of my callings, to be honest with you. So it just started budding. So looking forward to what else evolves as a writer. Looking forward to it.
I love that. I love that writing and, writing your books found you. It wasn't something you were looking for. And I think that is the best. So I'm here for it. I am definitely, I'm going to take advantage of your holiday promotions. So speaking of holiday promotions, can you tell us what holiday special you're offering this holiday season?
Well, I'm doing a 2 for $20. So my original version, Father Give Me the Heart, which I went through Amazon for free. So those who like financially have a challenge, go through KDP. We'll definitely do it for free. So thank you, Jesus, for it, KDP. And also, not the only one. So 2 for $20, you can't go wrong. And I know it'll be encouraging not just to myself as myself, but also to others.
Absolutely. Well, Alexia, thank you so much. I'm so grateful I got to meet you. When we were emailing, I was like, I need to meet her. Thank you. I'm so grateful. So thank you so much for joining us for the 12 Days of Page Turners. It has been so much fun. So thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, everybody. So coming up, I am going to share a recorded video of Myron Edwards. So Myron lives in the Cypress Islands, And me and Myron had a difficult time connecting this year to record it. So without further ado, I am going to bring Myron's recording and Myron up on stage for him to tell you about his books and his holiday promotion. So without further ado, everybody, here is Myron Edwards. All right. Hey, Myron Edwards. Thank you so much for joining us on December 7th. I know that you are in the Cyprus Islands, or you are on the island of Cyprus. I don't really know how exactly to classify it. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk with us. So tell us about what genre you write in and what your books are about.
Okay, well, Cyprus is an island. It's near Greece, I suppose, is the best way I can sort of tell you where it's close to. We're actually only 60 miles from Syria, so it's quite surprising, really. Even though we're Europe, we're really sort of part of the Middle East, you would almost think, wouldn't you? Anyway, the books are about, shall we say, a strange occurrence that happened to me when I was visiting the site of Aphrodite's Rock. Okay. Purely by chance, my wife and I went there before we were married. Even then, in that day, in those times, I was interested in the actual idea of Aphrodite, but didn't really understand the legend too much. And when we got there, I said to her, well, you know, everybody says this is Aphrodite's Rock, but there's no evidence of it, no proof of it. And she said, no, yeah, it's a story, and it's what it is. It's you know, it's a fairy tale in that respect. And so I said, yeah, okay, fine. I know it's based on mythology. So anyway, I'm sitting there in a restaurant and we're having lunch and that. And I sort of said to her, have you seen that thing on the wall? And she said, what? I said, there's a poster on the wall. And she said, it's a poster from the Greek tourist office. So what? I said, but look at it closely. So I said, do you realize why it's called Aphrodite's Rock now? And she said, no, not really. And I said, because under the water is a figure in the sea. And that figure is represented in the form of a woman's figure. And I said to her, did you realize that that's a possibility, that could be Aphrodite in the water? And she said, no, that's crazy. I said, well, let me think about it. And I then decided there and then in my epiphany moment, that there was a story in this. So I thought about it, put it to the back of my mind, because we weren't then living in Cyprus, and I knew that I needed background. So it wasn't until around the 2000 region that I decided to put it into a script. I put it into a script when we moved over to Cyprus. All the family moved over. And from there, what happened was I showed it to a couple of people and they said, why don't you turn it into a book? So I said, okay, I'll turn it into a book. And I gave it to her for a Christmas present. So that was one book just given to her as a one-off. But a couple of people read it and said, you should try and get this published. So I went to a Cyprus publisher in Nicosia. And he said to me, do you have a synopsis? I sent him a synopsis. He said to me, do you have a full manuscript? I said, yes, I've got a full manuscript. So he said, come and see me on Monday after he'd read the full manuscript, and said, we'll talk about maybe publishing it. So we went and talked about it. And on the Tuesday, we signed a contract and we were publishing the book.
Wow.
That was how it came about. In the meantime, we also had a contact from an English film company who wanted to make the movie because they'd read the screenplay. And from there, I sort of was on cloud nine thinking, God almighty, we're going to make a movie now.
Right, yeah.
We got cast of people like Gillian Anderson of the X-Files. All of these people have started to come through. Peter Andre was a very famous pop singer, come celebrity in the UK. He was going to be in it as well. They were rolling the cast out and everything else. And then bang, it all stopped. And it all stopped because of the financial crisis in Cyprus. And one of the casualties of the situation was my publisher. He just went under. So there I am, stuck with a book, not knowing what to do, with a contract that I had to honour, because even though he'd gone bust, I still had a contract that I had to see out, which was like 7 years. And therefore, I needed to find some other way to be able to keep the book going and at the same time develop another idea which I'd got, which came about purely from the first book. So I started to write a thing called Scylla, which is Scylla. If you've heard of the saying between a rock and a hard place, Scylla is one of the sisters of the other one, who's Charabolis. Those two sisters are the ones that sit on either side of the rocks when the sailors come and they try to grab the sailors. So that's why it's called Between a Rock and a Hard Place.
Oh, okay.
So Scylla the Revenge is all about the second book. That is really following on from the first book, because the first book ends with a sort of cliffhanger. And then the second book, Scylla the Revenge, brings the story into more, shall we say, local time, bringing the story more up to date, because the first story takes place around the first instance of the story takes place around the first Gulf War in 1990. I think the first Gulf War was. Anyway, so what I have developed is a family of people who are basically looking to try and move them forward on a time basis. So the idea is, what I've done is to take them through various stages in their development, the characters wise, and then bring the story into focus from a modern day point of view. Because the essence of the story is that you're mixing the ancient world with the modern world.
Right.
So this is how the hypothesis of the Aphrodite legend comes into focus when you're reading the books.
Okay.
The third book, which is the pinnacle of everything, the trilogy, is called Julie's Odyssey, Alpha and Omega. Now, Alpha and Omega in Greek is the beginning and the end. So that's where the whole story comes to a climax in the third book. And it really features Julie Cole, who is the wife of Richard Cole, who is the main character throughout the books. But in this instance, the third book, it's written from the perspective of a female, and I've never done that before, so I hope I've got it right. But it's all the adventures that Julie gets up to in her Odyssey, where she encompasses different people and different, shall we say, horrors and terrors that she has to try and conquer to be able to try and do what she needs to do. Now, I know it sounds a bit convoluted. That's because I want people to read the books, because the simple idea of saying to somebody this, and that, unless you see the beginning, the middle, and the end, it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Right.
But from my point of view, the three books have come to an ultimate climax now, and each one in turn has its own merit. So from that perspective, that's what I was trying to do. But initially, only one book ever. That's all I was thinking of.
Yeah.
But everything else, the opportunity came along in my sort of head, and I decided that book 2 should be a follow-up. And then from book 2, the way it ends gave me the option to straight away develop book 3.
Wonderful. So it all started here with Mistress of the Rock. Is that correct? And then it went to Scylla the Revenge.
Exactly.
Wonderful. And I know your publisher is putting them in this bundle, the fantasy bundle too, which are all 3 of your rocks. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Myron, but they are $40 for all 3 books.
That's
that right?
Correct. Yeah, it's a special offer for Christmas. So I presume there is a closing date on it, but you can get in now into Rock Hill Publishing, and you'll be able to actually order those 3 books. If anybody wanted to order individually, they can order from Amazon, Barnes and Noble in the US as well. So.
All right, everybody. So that was Myron. And like I said, me and Myron had a tough time getting together with the internet signal and everything that was in Cyprus. So Myron was a part of the 12 Days of Page Turners last year. And so that is the video that he chose to use since we did have such technical issues getting together. And, you know, that in time zones, you know, I'm telling you, I have learned several different time zones doing the 12 Days of Page Turners. I've become very good in, you know, the United States, different time zones. If you add other ones, it's a guessing game. Okay. I may or may not have that one right, but I have learned so much. But you guys, like I said earlier, and I say all the time, this has been or is the greatest time of the year for me. Tonight was so many amazing authors and incredible women authors, I must point out, that have done some amazing things and are moving things in the writing industry. And so I am so grateful to all of you that came and joined me today. Joanna, DC, Bridget, Alexia, and Myron. And for everybody listening, watching the replay, everything like that, all of these wonderful promotions are listed in the comment section down below. Myron's publisher did also just post a comment about the update for their bundle this year. But make sure you go and take advantage of these wonderful holiday promotions and support these local authors and everything that is encompassed. You guys know that the best gift you can give this holiday season is a book. And so remember to do that. But until tomorrow, everybody, we still have more authors coming. We have a whole new round of authors coming tomorrow. So until then, everybody, bye for now.